And residents in Mississippi experienced their own tragedy after Friday's deadly tornado, and the road to recovery is a long one. 8,000 Mississippians remain without power tonight in communities directly in the storm path. Crews from across the state have been working night and day to get power to people's homes in all of the tornado-ravaged areas. In Issaquena and Montgomery counties, nearly 100% of people have no power at all. Officials say it could take weeks to restore power to everyone who needs it.
And one of the towns that was in the storm's path was the Carroll County community of Black Hawk, just outside of Winona. There, a man from the coast traveled to his childhood home to see the extensive damage and a schoolhouse that served as a community center for the obliterated. Reporter Loral Winn traveled to the town to understand the impacts of this devastation.
Oh no. It's 1986, it's old.
Spencer Wiltshire got to his childhood home in Black Hawk as soon as he could. He knew his dad was okay, but he was shook at the thought of what could have happened.
It's just scary to think that, I've had to deal with the fact that my dad's older than my entire life and he could leave at any moment, but this right here puts it in the reality of anything can happen at any given moment.
Wiltshire lives in Biloxi but returned home to check on his dad and found parts of his childhood memories buried under trees.
It was at probably about 9:40 at night or something like that, and I was sitting in my chair at the house and I got a phone call from my mom saying, "Your dad has been in a tornado, his house is ruined, a tree fell on his bedroom." We didn't know that all of this had happened at all.
His father's home sits just down the road from another source of great loss. This one, however, affects the whole community of Black Hawk.
I'm here in Black Hawk, Mississippi, standing on the foundation of what used to be a schoolhouse that residents say was here for nearly 100 years. And I talked to some people who were here remembering this special community place. This schoolhouse was a place where they held weddings and birthday parties. They would come together to hear local singers and musicians. It was a place of celebration for them.
The schoolhouse served as a community center for Black Hawk, and it was run by the local Homemakers Club, which Rhonda Mitchell is a member of.
In the 60s, I know we had here, as we started, the Blackout Homemakers Club took it over. The county kind of deeded it to us, and we have taken care of it basically all that time.
The building was the center for cultural life in town, and residents like Mitchell are grieving the loss of this special place.
It's going to be a loss to our community for right now, till we decide what to do. But it's heartbreaking, because I guess for the fact that I know my mom and my dad passed away last year, and this would have really hurt him,
Black Hawk and its residents are now looking towards recovery from this disaster. Loral Winn, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
If you are in or near Carroll County, here are some drop-off locations for food and water. And if you can set up a monetary donation with the Bank of Commerce North Carrollton, or call them at 662-237-9272.
Williams and the Schoolhouse Community Center are just a few that are still reeling from the tornado's destruction. Across the street from that community center is the Black Hawk Independent Church, which has also served the community for decades. Friday's storm wiped out the church and the parsonage. Former pastor Ricky Reese and his wife drove up from the coast to help comfort his former parishioners.
So many people just have a special place in their hearts for churches like this. One of my good friends, and he came out of this church, and he's a pastor around the Tupelo area now. And it just devastated him. He grew up in this church, came to know the Lord in his church, got married in his church, and his parents are still here and are members of this church. And those people, it just really means a lot to them. Families, generations of families have gone to church here. And so it's an old church with lots and lots of history.
Reese and his wife were also married in this church, and they, like many others in the Black Hawk community, are taking the time to mourn their loss before they even begin to think of rebuilding. Locals in Oxford are stepping up to help those who lost everything following that deadly tornado. Toiletry products and basic food items in particular are in extreme need. The city of Oxford is accepting donations and collecting those items for the communities of Amory and Rolling Fork. Oxford is asking for donations of water, flashlights, blankets, batteries, work gloves, and canned goods. These supplies can be dropped off at Fire Station 1 on McElroy Drive.